Thank you. We now know there was a history of violence between David Conley and Valerie Jackson before authorities say that he shot and killed Jackson, her husband, and 6 children. Advocates, of course, want domestic violence victims to know there is help available to them. So here with more on services available to victims and their families is Sonia Corrales with the Houston Area Women's Center. Thank you for coming in today.
Oh, thank you for having us.
First of all, talk about the availability of assistance, because somebody in this circumstance, especially over a period of time, perhaps feels very isolated. Start with ways to reach out for help.
So, one of the things that this tells us, this tragedy tells us, is that it really provides a glaring picture of the magnitude and the toll that domestic violence can have in our society. So one of the things that is important, because we know that domestic violence, number one, occurs, but also that 119 people in 2013 lost their lives due to domestic violence. And we know that there are certain things that people can watch out for. For example, you're 6 times more likely to get killed in your home if there's a gun in the home and you are in an abusive situation. So it's important to provide services that enhance the safety. For example, being able to call a hotline 24 hours a day. They can provide safety planning. So the safety planning is a critical component of somebody trying to get away from a situation, because the most dangerous time is when somebody leaves. So providing safe shelter or options for safe shelter. The other thing is protective orders. Protective orders also provide a sense of safety, but they also order the person who is the abuser to not have weapons or guns in their home.
Do protective orders sometimes provide a false sense of security? It's a piece of paper, but that person has to follow the instructions. So what else can be part of the safety plan? We talked during the commercial break about how you often see a family that they think, well, we never thought it would go this far. Why do people take that mindset of never thinking it will happen to them, even if perhaps there has been a violent relationship?
I think, one of the important things, and I think that's a great question, is really knowing what domestic violence is. And a lot of times people may not understand the dynamics around what domestic violence actually is. It's a pattern of coercive and controlling behaviors that happens over a period of time and then typically escalates. And a lot of times, it gets normalized in a relationship. So it's important to reach out for help. So the safety planning can include a protective order, and we know that protective orders don't work. Oftentimes we see them when they potentially may not work, but we know that they work in a lot of other situations, as long as all of the systems are working, for that survivor. So we have to make sure that it's an approach that we are all taking as advocates, as law enforcement, as judges, to make sure that we provide safety for that victim and their family. But safety planning can also include making sure that people have options to what the resources are. So the Houston Area Women's Center, for example, provides comprehensive services. So it's not only shelter, but it's also provides you with information on how you can get counseling, how you can get more information about what domestic violence really is, so that you're able to respond to it effectively, either yourself or somebody trying to help somebody who might be in need.
It might be a scary moment for somebody considering reaching out, calling that hotline. What can they expect when they call?
Well, one of the things that we offer is that 24-hour hotline. It's confidential. It's a supportive ear. We talk about what options are. And a lot of times, because people don't even realize that they're in a violent situation, because perhaps the violence is only emotional or psychological, or that batterer is really using those behaviors and those tactics to keep that person from not being able to reach out for help. So isolating, a family or their victim, not being able to connect with friends or family. So sometimes, that victim may not even have access to a telephone or access to their friends and family, because over a period of time they've isolated that family, or they use a lot of intimidation or physical violence sometimes, threats, that they're going to take the children away. So a lot of times those are the barriers that prevent somebody from actually leaving. But those are tactics, that batterer is using to keep somebody in a violent situation.
So you help to make them more aware of exactly what their situation is, and then maybe what to do next.
Absolutely. So being able to recognize it, being able to respond effectively, whether you're that survivor or somebody else in need, and then being able to connect with the services that are available, and knowing that, one, it's not your fault, that you're not alone, and that help is available.
Sonia Corrales from the Houston Area Women's Center, thank you for adding your expertise to the conversation today.
Thank you for having me.